I'm Felice Sloan. Follow me at Swanky Maven.
I'm David Leftwich, freelance food writer and editor.
I'm Eric Sandler, editor for Culture Map Houston.
The Full Menu is a production of Houston Public Media with support from Central Market.
All right, when I moved back to Houston 3 years ago. I don't know.
20
Wait, no, okay. When I moved back to Houston 20 some odd years ago, I was a vegetarian, and being a vegetarian was a little tricky back then. That's why I'm no longer a vegetarian. But now there are so many vegetarian and vegan options in Houston, including most restaurants, especially high-end restaurants. All kinds of restaurants have good vegetarian options, plus there's full-blown vegetarian and vegan-only restaurants. So there's just a lot of options now across many cuisines.
You know what I've also noticed? That once they open, they don't really close, right? Like they just evolve and get better, which a lot of traditional restaurants could take a cue from that. I noticed that the vegan, vegetarian restaurants, they evolve and grow and change with their customers, and they have a loyal following, right? And they've been around, and they're still here. That's one thing I notice and I love.
I think we have a reputation as being kind of a meat-obsessed, Texas steaks, burgers, barbecue, whatever. But as David said, a lot of these immigrant cuisines that have come to Houston over the last, 40 years are very vegetarian friendly. And of course, that starts with Indian food, right? Like any Indian restaurant is going to have a range of very dynamic vegetarian options. And so, we could start rattling off a couple of them, but obviously I think Pondicherry kind of leads the way with that. They've got the, Anita Jaisinghani, the chef and owner, is like very focused on sourcing locally and working with local farmers. They very prominently have Meatless Monday, where the whole thing is, and you can always find, the doses, the thalis, the whatever you want at Pondicherry. It's very, very vegetarian friendly.
Well, then one of my favorites in that is Sri Bali Bhajavan on Hillcroft in the Mahatma Gandhi district, and it's a vegetarian only restaurant. It's all the wonderful different chats, that are all vegetable focused. And then you mentioned doses, and they have a whole variety of different doses, and they're massive. They're like bigger than the tables, depending on which table you sit at. And it's counter service, just excellent vegetarian options.
I'm going to go with a Black-owned restaurant that's been around for several years, and it looks like they've gone through a rebrand, known as Mo Better Brews, which now is going by Mo Brunch and Brews. So they're kind of doing this rebrand with the coffee, lunch, and coffee, brunch, and vinyl. It's one of my favorites because of all of the things. The vinyl, it's just a really good vibe. And I love their play on some of the popular dishes, like their hot honey shrooms and grits, or they have boudin balls or boudin sushi rolls. Like, I love, that play on, I don't feel like I'm missing anything, and the food is excellent.
A restaurant that we've talked about a lot on the Full Menu is Emma, the Mexico City-inspired breakfast and brunch cafe, coffee shop. It is a very vegetarian-friendly restaurant. It's one of those rare places where I tend to lean vegetarian in my choices, because if you don't get the carrot taco and the mushroom tortilla, you have done Emma wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, that mushroom tortilla is one of my favorite dishes in
Hands
Houston.
down.
Yeah, and I can drink that warm salsa verde straight from the bowl once it's over with, because it's so good.
Yeah, every time I go, it seems like we meet at a different table. Hey, David. Another one that's been around for a while, it's the Green Seed Vegan. And they have something for like everybody. Like they have like a raw menu, vegan, vegetarian. They have a little bit of something for wherever you classify there. I love their paninis. They have great desserts. So I think that's one of those that's been around for a while that has a cult following.
A place that I really like for vegetarian cuisine is Lao Viet-Cajun. I mean, they have meat, but they're very focused on very fresh vegetables. A lot of it's organic, but they do some really good tofu dishes. They do a shaken tofu that's really good. They do a really good salt and pepper tofu, and everything's kind of bowl, very healthy, focused. But all their dishes are good, but their vegetarian dishes I really like.
One of the newer restaurants that's very vegetarian friendly is Traveler's Cart. This is kind of the fast casual sister restaurant to Traveler's Table. And, what I like about this restaurant is none of the entrees are over $20, which at a time when we're looking for more affordable places to eat, that's very appealing. Some of the dishes on the menu, mapu tofu noodles, the red lentil coconut curry, the ancient grain salad. So, you have not just it's not just a mixed veggie plate. It's not just like an empanada or whatever. It's you've got flavorful, dynamic choices with the variety of textures.
Often felt bad for people that are vegan and vegetarian, and I'm like, for years, where do they go for good Tex-Mex or queso? And you remember when Local Foods opened and they answered the call. Local Foods still up there at the top. Still has one of the best quesos.
And it's vegan.
And it's vegan. And people are like, there's no way. It is, you don't feel slighted. It gives you all the things that you want. So, in addition to additional dishes, but definitely that's what I'm going there for.
Well, another place that does some really good vegan Mexican food and just good Mexican food is Cochinita & Co. I mean, she has this like vegan chilaquiles, which are excellent, and they do this excellent vegan avocado crema. Then she also has some non-vegan stuff. She does amazing stuff with nopales. So they have this nopalitas scramble that's really good, and then this amazing nopalitas salad that can be a meal in itself, but it's just that set off this amazing oregano vinaigrette. And she also has amazing mushroom taco too. That's really good.
All right, I'm gonna build on both Local Foods and Mexican flavors and mention Maximo. This is the restaurant in West U from the same company as Local Foods. You can have a very delicious pork chop there, but that's not what we're talking about today. I will mention
Pivot.
I will mention the charred broccolini, the hearts of palm salad, and then they do a whole head of cauliflower, like in the style of asado, so that kind of spicy pork, but done with roasted cauliflower. It's really tasty.
I'm gonna maybe switch gears a little bit. There's some newer restaurants, maybe food trucks that are coming hard. One, there's vegan soul food, Lindiana's Southern Vegan Kitchen off Alameda, throwing it down with the vegan soul food. Think about jackfruit wings, boudin balls, mushroom burgers, like a lot of seasonings and spices. It's pretty darn tasty.
Well, I think like a lot of kind of Mediterranean, Middle Eastern focused restaurants have really good vegetarian options, and one of my favorite is Craft Pita. All of their lots of their dips and salads and spreads are either vegan or vegetarian. They're usually either one, and he has they do some of the best falafel in town, I think. So if you're looking for a good hearty vegetarian meal, I always like a good falafel.
Yeah, and if you want like a slightly more upscale Mediterranean experience, I think about Hamsa in Rice Village. Also has really great falafel, has all that beautiful fresh baked pita, all those little vegetable small plates they call salatin. I say just get them all. It's like $35. You get like 8 or 10 different choices. They do the hummus, roast egg, or hard-boiled egg optional. They also do roasted cabbage. They do mushroom skewers. So lots of choices on the menu at Hamsa.
Speaking of falafel, a newer contender, Just Falafel Vegan Cafe off of 610 in San Felipe. They're doing it. They have a falafel sandwich. You can build your own bowls or wraps. Pretty popular, and I would say add them to your menu.
I'm going to stick to the Mediterranean but go to Greece, and Kitri Kitchen has some really good vegetarian options. Like their white bean stew is really amazing, and then they do this stuffed eggplant, which is stuffed with lentils and topped with like a kind of it's not vegan, but it's definitely vegetarian. It's really good, and they have a couple other dishes too. And it's you can get takeout, you can sit in the cafe.
When you said creamy white bean soup, I start thinking about a Houston classic, Bella Green. So I like going there because it's healthy, it's clean. So if you're vegan, if you're not vegan, you can find good options. And they have a section of the menu, it's always seasonal. And they have a creamy white bean and kale soup. Very good. That's what's on the seasonal right now. So, you may want to check that out.
All right. I will say I do like the idea of making a meal of the vegetable sides at a couple of different barbecue places. Certainly Truth Barbecue comes to mind, right? They do the Brussels sprouts, they do the corn pudding, they do the tater tot casserole, and they recently added a citrus kale salad. So if you're a meat eater and you want to eat light, you can add some sliced turkey to that. But if you're just a vegetarian, like the texture, the crunch of the kale and the brightness of the citrus, it comes together really nicely.
Another new one I want to mention is Mantra in Midtown. It's doing pretty well. They have, think plantain nachos, think coconut calamari, right? Like, it's the things that you think about as a meat eater that I love. How would I translate that to a vegan, some of my favorite taste? And they're giving you like really tasty things.
Last one for me, there's a very dynamic new fine dining restaurant that has just opened in the Heights. It's called Camaraderie, and it's built around a pre-fee menu where there's like 4 shared vegetable starters and then your choice of an entree. And again, like there's a violasso buco or a fish that's been kind of rotating, but there's also a mushroom for people who are looking for a fully vegetarian experience. And this is vegetarian food done at a very high level.
Well, I'm going to kind of take it back to where we started and go to Indian-inspired cuisine. And I'm going to mention Govinda's, which is in the Hare Krishna temple out on 34th Street. And it's it's classic buffet style, very good classic vegetarian Indian food. And then on Mondays, Fridays, and Sundays, everything is vegan.
If we're gonna go classic, I'm gonna go OG, one that all of us love, Kieran's, right? I would say it's more fine dining, but it's the vegan options, vegetarian options are excellent, and you can take a group of people, and everyone's gonna find something amazing. And here's a great thing about Karen's, if you don't see it on the menu and you tell Karen and she has it in her kitchen, what's she gonna do? She's gonna whip it up for you, right? So you gotta love that. I'm Felice Sloan. Follow me at Swanky Maven.
I'm David Leftwich, freelance food writer and editor.
I'm Eric Sandler, editor for Culture Map Houston, and you're listening to Houston Matters with Craig Cohen.